What's up, brothers and sisters? It's your brother G World 7_D, and I want to talk about quick about the issues of reparations, and I'll just get my 2 cents on it. We are entitled to reparations, first and foremost, but we need to also know who the hell we are. We gotta know that. We, Jesse Jackson, I know term African American got popular around, I want to say, late 87 or mid 88, around that time. Before that, that term wasn't even used. And it wasn't still used a lot, even in the early 90s, it was still black. You know, that name, but Jesse says that he decided to use that term to give it a cultural context, whatever. But, but by calling ourselves that, we have allowed others to steal our identity. And not just you could say other black come in here and just say they're African American. No, you allow white people from South Africa, or white people who were living in Africa, gained citizenship there, or were born there, and they come here to America and they label themselves as African American. That was no good, and that's a way to basically you know hijack anything that really should come to us. Um, so when we should not call ourselves African American. We First of all, we are the true Indians, not them $5 Asian and white ones. We are the true Indians. But now that some of us are seeing that and acknowledging that, it seems to be a problem. That we're denying our Africanness and everything. That we're denying our true history to Africa. The DNA says this. That's a whole lot of garbage, man. There's some of our people who never forgot, but it was probably during, I want to say, maybe the '60s, where it was this push on black and pride, or you just identify yourself as just African, and people who would identify themselves as being Indian or indigenous to this land were ridiculed for doing that, and saying that they were saying to be African or black, and that's not the case. They knew who they were and where they were from and their connections to this land. The problem is we have so many people that have, and I said this in so many of my other videos, have gone to these universities and schools and have been really miseducated. And plus with integration, it just seemed like it had sped up the process of people being miseducated and misinformed about who they are, who they were. Not only we have reparations from the issue of some of our people being enslaved, going through redlining, Jim Crow, you know, out and out cases where white women claim to be raped which they weren't raped, and black men are being jailed, prison, lynched. You know, you can look at the year, was it 1919, the Red Summer, the mess that happened there. So many cases of just lies of what white folks have done that you can look at you can backtrack all that information, all that stuff that happened in this country as being a way to break down and destroy our people. But we as Aboriginal Black Americans, we lived through that. We continue to fight for our freedom, for our true liberation. Or some of us have to try to fight for our true liberation. But, but the main thing is, what I'm saying is that, oh yeah, we're entitled to reparations, what happened to us in this country. But we can't say that we were brought over as slaves from Africa. That's got to stop. Because if we identify ourselves as being Aboriginal black people here and say that we have been reclassified, as well as our land has been stolen from us and given to other people, just like the Louisiana Purchase, that wasn't the French land to sell to the United States in the first place. They stole that land from the indigenous black people already here. But yet some of the people continue to view themselves as foreigners, say they was captured and brought here from West Africa, which is, I said this in so many videos, that's a lie. We've been here. Our reparation claims get even stronger by us acknowledging that we are the true original people here. Not only we should receive cash money, yeah, we should get cash money, but we need to get our land back, our true identity back. Our identities have been stolen and given to other people. But to be honest with you, to take it even further, we should not even be taxed. We should not be taxed at all. We should not have to pay no taxes. Because these bastards not only stole our land, they stole our identity, obviously, but they stole our land. But then they stole our land, and now they sold it back to us. Or in order for us to acquire the land, we had to buy it from them, and then we're taxed. They steal your land, and they tax you on your own damn land, man, that they stole from you, man. Shit, man. Yeah, man. No. These bastards owe us, man. And these little laws that are put in place supposed for us, they've been so generalized that other people were able to see through the cracks and benefited off of it more than us. Like this affirmative action stuff that was supposed to come around, was it the late 60s? It seemed like everyone has benefited off of it more than the Aboriginal black population here, particularly white women. I don't know how white women become a minority. It's just, that's in itself insulting, man. But it's really bad because you have these black politicians who are not representing us. They're not doing a damn thing. They're speaking for everyone else's issues but ours. When it comes to reparation, they're not pushing that at all. They're clowning like that idiot Clyburn out of South Carolina, that stupid Maxine Waters, and that the one of the squad, the one who lost her hair. She's disgusting. She doesn't speak on reparations or try to push for it because she doesn't care. These people, we are not represented with these representatives, these House representatives, and definitely not them Negroes in the Senate. We're not being represented at all. These clowns are puppets being pulled by a string, and they just go along to get along and to continue to get paid. These Negroes are millionaires. They've been here for so many years. They're millionaires. They don't care about the black community. This is why it bugs me that so many Negroes continue to be loyal to the Democratic Party. And then when you tell them that you're not going to vote straight Democrat and not going to support the Democratic Party, then people question your, quote, blackness. Both parties are racist. Neither one of them did anything for us, but the Republican Party has historically told us to go to hell. They basically ignored our vote, while the Democratic Party have used our vote and did some goofy form of symbolism. They'll come to a black church, start singing and stuff, some gospel songs. or some damn R&B song. Oh, I'm a fan of Earth, Wind, and Fire. Oh, I love the Isley Brothers. Yeah, okay. You know, whatever, man. And yeah, it, because they say that, these Negroes will go and vote for them. Man, what the hell is that? And then they'll get you into an argument over the issue. Man, when Obama ran the first time, I didn't care for that Negro because I know how he got down here in Illinois. He did nothing. And the type of arguments I got into, particularly with certain black women, over that clown, man. It was funny as hell. And then and all they do is talk about Trump, 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 and get paranoid over Trump. In fact, you got some YouTubers were so paranoid over Trump, they vote for Biden, but they're not talking about the dirty stuff that Biden has been doing since he's been in office. Biden has done nothing for black folks. I knew Biden was nothing, man. I remember when he told Obama he seems clean. Or so I forget, it was something he said. Obama seems clean. Basically, he's not like the normal black man, because the normal black man supposed to be dirty and no good. And you Negroes sat there and voted for this clown, man. Come on. Some of you Negroes are just happy to see a half more get elected to be president of the United States. And he did nothing for our people. And then a lot of Negroes just was happy that he was married to Michelle. Oh, he's married to Michelle. Look at little black children run through the White House. Are you serious? Are you serious? But that was some of them. That was just total symbolism. And that symbolism did nothing for you for 8 years. 8 years. That Negro did nothing. Yeah, Clinton in there, Negro. He's black because he smoked weed and he played the saxophone on our City Hall show for 8 years. He did nothing. During this administration, he was locking brothers up left and right. Man, get the hell up out of here. Get the hell up out of here. These white folks won't admit to nothing. You know, a few years ago, there were some tapes that came out about Ronald Reagan describing some African diplomats. He had made a phone call to Richard Nixon, and he called them monkeys. He called them monkeys, man. He called those African diplomats monkeys. And said they didn't. I want to paraphrase. Say they didn't wear shoes. They weren't civilized and everything. He called them monkeys. All right. He called them damn monkeys. Then the white historian from Texas trying to say, well, he said that because Nixon's known to be a racist and that he was trying to basically appeal to Nixon's needs. Huh? Then there was a black woman from one of the Ivy League schools, might have been Harvard, saying that no, because Reagan, not only he felt that way, but he issued policies against the black community while he was president. I know that crack cocaine stuff, man, doing that, his wife was saying, just say no to drugs, man. Crack cocaine stuff was really destroying the black community in the 80s. People was walking around like zombies in the 80s. That crack cocaine stuff was really just man, flat out wiping people out in the 80s. So, for this jackass from the University of Texas to sit there and say that Ronald Reagan was not a racist, he was shocked that Reagan said that. Are you serious? All them damn presidents are racist, man. Both Democrats and Republicans. One of the most racist presidents was that freaking Woodrow Wilson, the Democrat. So please, please, none of these presidents were any good for us, man. There may have been some who had some policies that worked in our favor, but for the most part, none of these damn presidents were any good. All of them a bunch of damn racist ass rednecks, bigoted bastards. All of them. You know, but when the Negroes will holler about the Democrats and then some Negroes holler about the Republicans, all you saying is that my white man I'm voting for is better than your white man. And neither one of those white men is going to do anything for our people in the first place. But see, you Negroes just go about and you think that this particular white man is going to be your savior and you're going to continue to vote for these racist pigs. I'm not saying do not vote, particularly in local elections, but these presidential elections, none of it done anything for you. Biden talk about giving all these millions of dollars to Ukrainians when they're nothing but a bunch of racists holding flag run around with swastikas. You know how they treating the Africans over there. Talking about giving reparations to these illegal people coming over here. I mentioned that in my last video. Are you serious? You gonna give reparations to people who are not citizens? Let me get the hell up out of here. That's appalling and insulting. Reparations should go to Aboriginal Black Americans. Those black folks in Rosewood, what happened to their town? And how their town was destroyed and they had to leave their town. Those Negroes were indigenous Indians. They weren't just no African slaves. Those are Indian blacks. You know, and what happened to the brothers and sisters in Oklahoma? What went on in the Carolinas? Particularly, it was in Wilmington, North Carolina. All over this country, man. We have caught hell. Our land was stolen or destroyed. Just like those black folks, we call it the so-called Seneca village. Man, those are Seneca Indians. Those are Indians, man. Those are the Seneca Indians. Those are no African slaves. Those were the Seneca Indian blacks. But we continue to call ourselves African American, and we continue to give ourselves some title that does not acknowledge our indigenous to this land. Indigenous to this land. This is our land. This is where we're from. We're not from Africa. I'm not saying we had no ties to Africa, but we are indigenous to this land. And when I mean we're indigenous, our people go way beyond 400, 500 years in this damn land. That's the part that really bugs me. I presented so much information on my page about the indigenous black people here and indigenous black people in Europe. Like I said before, I had one jackass come on my page claiming that the black people in Europe are just African. See, they do that to deflect the fact that the original Europeans were Negroes anyway. And anytime you see black people, they just African. Never mind you seen castles. Never mind you see them wearing crowns. Never mind you see them wearing cardinal and pope hats. Those are just Africans. From the Congo, they're supposed to be Africans from the Congo, or all the knights are just Saint Maurice. So these bastards do that. This is how they steal and they try to rewrite your history and rewrite you out of your own damn history. And some of you Negroes will agree or take their word on anything they say. That's how sick everything has become. And that idiot who came on my page didn't know what the hell he was talking about. But that's obvious when someone who's nothing but a trained fool and has been educated by a bunch of racist jackasses. Just because you see a black person outside of Africa does not make them African. Just like you see those short black people in the Philippines. They're not African. Those are indigenous Aboriginal black people of the Philippines. So when you start calling them Africans, I've said this over and over again, you making them a foreigner in their own damn land. But some of these Negro scholars, they continue to do that, man. And that's bothersome. I can remember when Runoko Rashidi went to Mexico and he seen that little statue of that diminutive black figure wearing a little grass skirt. He called that person African. I said, what the hell is this Negro talking about? That wasn't no African. That was an indigenous, diminutive black person, Aboriginal black person of Mexico. I was an Aboriginal black person in Mexico, and here you gonna make them a foreigner walk in the museum saying that was an African. See, this is what you get from many of your Negro scholars, man. They bring you nothing, and they've helped to position us out of anything, man. And that's really sad. That's why I don't listen to them. I tell you to do your own research. You can get some information from them, but for the most part, they're giving you the standard Negro nonsense, like this Rick Kittles making Black America with this so-called DNA test. He want to make Black Americans quote Africans. We're not Africans. There's some black people who came over here from Africa, but majority of us are Aboriginal. We're indigenous of this land. We're indigenous. We're descendant of the black people who've been here for thousands of years. And obviously, white folks don't want to hear that because they want to claim our Aboriginal indigenous heritage, run around wearing moccasin suits, and position themselves to be leaders of certain tribes. They are a damn joke. And yet, some of us allow that. This damn Clyburn pushed for some bill for, I don't know, was it the Chickasaw Indians or the Choctaw, one of them damn Indian groups, so-called Indian groups. And these are a bunch of white folks. Now, I showed you the original image of the Chickasaw and the Choctaw. Those are Negroes, man. And where did white folks come from? And yeah, he sit there smiling with them in the, shoot, up in Congress, just smiling with them, said that they deserve something. Them white folks didn't deserve anything. It's people who look like you who are the real Choctaw and the real Chickasaw Indians, you idiot. And this fool got reelected again for another 2 years. We're going to have to clean house. We're going to really have to clean house. We're going to really have to get rid of these Negroes. They're going to have to go. But the first thing first, we are not African Americans. And for those black people who want to force that terminology African American to you, tell them to go to Africa. This is our home. We are African descent. No, we are Aboriginal black people. We're descendant of the Aboriginal black people of this land. And I'm going to say that very, very strongly. And we do not need people like Umar Johnson, who says he's a Cuban. We do not need people like, what's his name? The Dominican dude over in New York who runs that, I forgot that dude's name, man. That's how much I really care about them clowns. He shouldn't be telling us who we are. None of those guys from the Amara squad, them clowns, none of them clowns need to be telling who we are. Because most of them guys claim to be, or maybe from somewhere else. That Jabari has no business because he's of Caribbean descent. He's not of Aboriginal North American descent. He's not. To tell you who the hell you are. So we got to put a line in. No, we're the only people here in Aboriginal North America. And most of them are Aboriginal blacks too, of other regions. But here in North America, no one should define who the hell we are but us. Let's make this clear. But us. And that should be laid down. That should be etched in stone. We are not African American. We're not Africans. And people, like I said, have a problem with that. Go to Africa. Leave us alone. We are Aboriginal to this land. This is our land, man. We have reclassified ourselves by using a term that makes us foreigners in our own damn land. This is our land. And we need to take and identify with our true identity that represent this land, represent us of this land. Some people want to use the term foundational Black America. I'm not using that because um, we are Aboriginal to this land, man. I know what foundational means. I know its true meaning, what the meaning was supposed to mean, but we are descendants of Black people of this land, man. Aboriginal Black people of this land. There weren't that many so-called slaves brought here. We are the Aboriginal. We are the original people of this land. This is our home. This is our home. Do not let any other Negro, self-hating Negro, to tell you that you're a foreigner in your own land by giving you a title or an identification that does not represent you being his land first and foremost. By using the term African, using the foreign element before your Aboriginal Americanness. All right, you need to identify you being first people of this land. The people who are given this first people stuff, those are Asians, man. They didn't come here until like the 12th or 13th century. That's where their ancestors came here. All right, they're not indigenous to this land, and I'm gonna get on that. I'm gonna talk about that too. Those people are not indigenous to this land. There were so many black groups that were here in the Americas, but unfortunately, many of us have embraced the slave narrative that we were brought over here as slaves. We have not embraced the forbidden histories. And the forbidden histories is something that the black histories that were here in the Americas and Europe, but particularly in the Americas, but it has been basically suppressed because if we really knew our true history, we will not allow outsiders to dictate us and tell us some mess about going back to Africa and Ghana's year return. You return to what? That is not our land, man. This is our land over